Welcome in. Back post week 3. Man, what a crazy week this was. Tons of action once again. Anthony lost his voice. We found an old friend in Sterling. Welcome back to the show, Sterling.
Hey, Sterling.
Yo, what's up?
But what I thought was really interesting about this past week, for us three at least, is we all watched the game in different ways.
That's right.
I had my family over. We watched all the games, had three screens going on. Lots of food, pizza, pulled pork, the works, right? Now I get to eat that all week. Anthony went to the Miami Dolphins game to watch the Bills. Great games. I think you got your money's worth. Good thing you didn't get dehydrated.
Yeah, I mean, it was close. Let me tell you, man, I drank the least I've ever drank pregame, chugged a lot of water, obviously, You could see the red in my face. I had the Bills suit on, which I think was good to keep my skin covered, but anything that wasn't covered got beat red. And then obviously just sitting out in that heat, you're looking out for everybody around you, making sure everybody's staying hydrated and staying good.
You get one of those misty fans. Yeah.
The game itself was awesome too. Yeah. So
yeah, great game too.
Incredible to be at.
And Sterling watched it at a Bills backers bar out in Colorado called Jackson's.
Yeah,
huge
man.
crowd. I saw pictures, tons of huge, crowds and activities. Looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I watch them there at Jackson's on Sunday. I do my show from there as well. So it's always a good turnout. I mean, you guys know what it's like. It's fun, man. And I had enough shots during the game because it was just a shit show, to say the least. Where, watching that game, you just like you just expect. I just expected the Bills to win. I didn't expect the blunders at the end, but it's the NFL. If you don't come ready to go, if there's injuries, I mean, this league is a small margin, so you got to bring it every time you come.
For sure. And for our new listeners and followers, Sterling is with Buffalo Rumblings. His show's called Intentional Grounding. You can find him in every pregame of the Buffalo Bills. Be sure to tune into that. It's been a great show. We love the guys over there at Buffalo Rumblings, so if you get a chance, tune in. And maybe someday he might have one of us on. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
Still early in the season. We haven't been asked yet. I know you're trying to feel it out still, but we're still kind of figuring that out too. So anyway, let's jump right into it. We're going to speed things up this week. We have a rapid reaction. We're going to go through every single game quickly. I feel like
get to it
and move on to the next week. Let's start it up. All right. Game. The Pittsburgh Steelers 17, the Cleveland Browns 29. I know we've talked about this for a couple days now, but we're reviewing all the games. So this was basically ground and pound, right? Whoever gets the more ground and pound yards, who plays better defense, who doesn't make mistakes wins this game. What's your thoughts on this one, Anthony?
It was a game that went back and forth, closer than the score looks, because the last 6 points were a fall down on it, touchdown in the end zone. For those of you betting the under, probably a little bit upset about that one after that. But it was a closer game than it looked. However, I did take Cleveland -5. I was happy with the outcome. Nick Chubb does not get enough love in this league. That guy is an MVP caliber player. He carries the team that he's on. And it happens to be Cleveland in this case. Doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. Brissett is the kind of quarterback who just needs to do what he needs to do. You don't need him to show up and ball out. Just show up and don't make mistakes. Let Nick Chubb carry you. That's what he did. That's why they got the win. Pittsburgh, bumbling, stumbling. At some point, they're going to have to go to the rookie. The calls were there. Tomlin is kind of pushing back, saying, Trubisky didn't have a bad game. It's just that he didn't have a good enough game to carry this team over the hump against a division rival. And they have to do better. I mean, you just can't get worse if you put the rookie in my mind. And we talked about that on the show before. So this game really cemented that. Cleveland is legit. Don't be fooled. They have a really good roster, a good defense, and Nick Chubb is the star. When you run him, you rule.
Yes.
You win.
Sterling, you got anything left? I think Anthony took all of it.
Yeah, no, Anthony, as always, just takes the show, No,
Hey,
I mean, Trubisky.
in my defense, I'm used to it just being the two of them.
No, Trubisky ain't it. And, they got to find some answers. This will probably be Mike Tomlin's first year without making the playoffs. I just don't see a path where they can remain competitive. And that's a big game for them to lose. So if something doesn't happen, I really don't see a path in the playoffs, and they don't have TJ Watt for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that kills them. Also, I expect to see Kenny Pickett very soon, next few weeks, I would say. And we know, everyone on the NFL knows, it's all about developing the rookie quarterback. Like we said, Kenny's a little more developed than guys like Trey Lance. Get him in there. Let's see what he's got and try to win next year. Let's move on to the next one.
Tomlin might get his first losing season.
He's definitely that's not a knock on him for sure.
No.
But still, very surprising stat. We got Cincinnati here, 27 at the New York Jets, 12. Joe Flacco throws the ball over 50 times again. And looks like it was Cincinnati all day in this one. What's your thought?
Yeah. So, Joe Flacco's trash, and the fact that he's still an NFL quarterback is troubling to me, but he's not on my team. So I think more needs to be said about Joe Burrow. He's not having a good season, but there's a reason why. The offensive line that they paid for is not showing up. Joe Mixon seems to be having a good year, but, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they're going to have to step it up if the team plans on making a playoff run.
Anthony, what you got?
The touchdown to Boyd was one of the plays that I saw from this game. And what do you see on that play summarizes Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati offense at this point. Joe Burrow goes back to pass, 4 guys in his face. He releases it just in time, gets smacked. Tyler Boyd catches it, and the 2 Jets players run into him and just let him keep going, and he takes that for a long touchdown. And that summarized the entire offense for me. I expected the Cincinnati offense to be able to score against the Jets to win the game, and they did, despite the fact that Joe Burrow still got his butt kicked by that defensive line. So it went pretty much what I expected there.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure something out. We don't want Joe Burrow to get hurt. We love watching him play. But, yeah, huge game for him, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So hopefully it looks like they're back on track. But then again, we don't know what this Jets team is, right? I like their pieces. We say this every year. Garrett Wilson looks like a real player for them. Just got to wait for Zach Wilson to get back because Joe Flacco's not getting it done. All right, let's move on to the bread and butter here. The Buffalo Bills come up short, 19-21 in Miami. Whew, man. Buffalo Bills, they beat Miami in every category all day long. Just did not capitalize on their opportunities. Anthony, you want this one since you were there?
Yeah, I was there, and it was a tough game to watch because it's mistakes, boneheaded mistakes. Now, look, I was out there in the heat, too. I know what it was like. I was in the front row, actually, for a portion of the game, which was awesome. Had a nice conversation with the Bills long snapper, Reed Ferguson, about me having my suit on and cheering as loud as I can, hence the lost voice right now. But the game itself was the Bills come out strong, and I think it's their 8th or 9th game with a touchdown to lead off the game. Unbelievable. Then they get a 3-and-out, and then they run the ball twice. It's like, what are you doing? Josh Allen just tore them up, and you're running the ball, trying to run the ball. Stop it. That's not who you are. That's not what's working. And sure enough, they fumble it on the last play where Josh Allen got hit and give Miami a free touchdown, and it was pretty much all downhill from there. Decision-making was bad. Time management was bad. That missed field goal at the half, the missed field goal in the third or at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth quarter, the inability to manage the clock at the end of the game when you got a second chance after you missed it with 4 chances at a goal situation. It was just so many opportunities for the Bills. If only one of them goes the Bills' way, they win the game. They only lost by 2 points. So Miami needed everything and all that and much more to beat the Bills, despite the depleted roster, despite all the injuries coming into the game, despite the fact that 2 more offensive linemen went in. We had 2 practice squad DBs and 2 practice squad offensive linemen in that game.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Coulda, woulda,
Unbelievable.
shoulda. The Bills
Third
didn't get it
string
done.
center.
Bills didn't get it done. Josh
No,
Allen missed a key throw to Isaiah McKenzie in the end zone.
He did.
Gabriel Davis missed a touchdown catch that was on the
Can't play
money.
like that.
Listen, if you want to be a championship team, you got to win these close games.
That's for
Stupid
sure.
mistakes too. The penalties were really killing me. The personal fouls. I'm like, guys,
Yeah.
that is something you
They
absolutely can
completely
control.
lost composure. And
Yeah.
you know what? If the Bills ever, Von Miller said, this is good medicine. Josh Allen, you have to keep composure. And I know Christian Wilkins trying to hit you in the balls, which is totally
it's uncalled for.
But you gotta understand the moment of the game, and I don't think Josh Allen did. Neither did this Bills team. They
Bills
got
have
no
got a lot
pass
of
rush. They got no pass rush up the middle. I mean, that's for injuries, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. The Dolphins won. The Bills are the better team, and we'll see them later.
I think it was more about play calling on the defense than anything, because they held them to 200 yards of offense, and they
Didn't
they
capitalize.
You can
do a lot.
only
It was just-
you can only do so much as with the turnover in the secondary. You got no push through the middle. I mean, Daquan Jones and Settle, they played okay sparingly, but I think the rotation was too much for the Bills on the defensive line. And they needed more from Von Miller and Greg Rousseau to really set the tone and for the day. The Miami Dolphins sent the kitchen sink on Josh Allen all day long. Melvin Ingram continues to be a thorn in the flesh for the Buffalo Bills. Spencer Brown was awful. Spencer Brown was fucking awful. So the Dolphins won, and I will let them have their W. That's it.
The Bills had double the first downs, 31-15, double the yards on offense, 497 to 212. Bills were 61.1% on third down. The last three drives of the game's a missed field goal, turnover on downs, failed spike. Just hurts.
Yeah.
Bills are better in every category. Dolphins, though, now 3-0. Give them the credit they deserve. They found a way to win these games with a new head coach. Quarterback looks great. This is Tua's lowest quarterback rating this season, 104.4. He had a rating of over 100 3 times last season out of 13 games.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with his, the concussion investigation there. I'm not sure what's going to go on with that. We were being told in the stadium that, he's out. Like, people were getting updates, he's out for the game. And when he came out for the second half, that was a shock to most people there. And it was like, okay, what's going on?
Things coming out now that it was his back and not his head.
His back
so
and not
interesting.
Who
that
knows?
doesn't make sense to me, but
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Anyway, let's move on here. We got Baltimore with a big win over New England, 37-26. Lamar Jackson's playing absolutely lights out. What's your thoughts on it, Sterling?
He wants that contract, and I'm a fan of Lamar Jackson. I think he gets a lot of undue hate towards him in terms of his style of playing, what he's able to do. But anytime you're playing a Bill Belichick team on the road and you come out successful, kudos to you, man. He found answers where there weren't, and he's got a receiving core that's not very good and a secondary that's not very good either with no pass rush. So a lot of the shoulder is on Lamar Jackson. Let's just hope he can keep it up.
For sure. And Mac Jones going down with an injury. Looks like that's minor. But the Patriots were in this game. I think they're getting better every week. What do you think, Anthony?
They say it's a high ankle sprain for Mac Jones, so I don't know if that's, trivial by any means. And their backup is Brian Hoyer, so that could be bad things for them, although that offense isn't exactly the engine that keeps that team going. I think what's more surprising is we know that Baltimore defense is now pretty banged up, and they gave up a significant amount of points to this New England offense, which isn't very high-powered. New England defense, maybe you can give them credit with Bill Belichick, but Lamar did his thing, and I think he's making a case for an MVP, hands down, unanimous MVP season right now is what he wants, and he might get that because, as Sterling said, he's in a contract year, and he's just showing them, it's going to cost you every day you wait. It's going to cost
and there's a lot of risk with that, but he's answering it, he is professionally so far, rising to the occasion. This is the best Lamar we've seen through 3 weeks, I would say. Hopefully it continues because guy's so fun to watch. They play Buffalo this weekend. Anyway, next game here, we got Carolina 22 at the New Orleans Saints 14. Jameis Winston continues to be the story. 2 more interceptions in this game. Taysom Hill, Andy Dalton. What's your thoughts, Anthony, on this one?
Well, first props, Eric. They finally won you a game, Carolina.
Oh yes,
You've been picking them for 3 weeks. And
my bugaboo team that I pick every week for no reason.
This week I couldn't pick them because I was like, no, they've been losing. I don't see it. And we've talked about this before on the show, but this is the one team where you can say always, oh, the quarterback, if he plays good, if he plays bad. If bad Jameis Winston shows up, it's terrible. And when good Jameis Winston shows up, they look like a powerhouse. So there's no quarterback that is as spread out in terms of what you get. You don't get, okay, he had an okay day. It's good and really good or bad and really bad. This one was really bad. That's why they lose the game. And even if they got a little bit better, one less turnover, they would have won the game. But they instead, it was bad, Jameis.
What you got for us, Sterling?
I'm just trying to figure out what's the Saints' identity at this point. That was a team that I picked that could make a deep run to the playoffs, maybe even get to the Super Bowl, represent the NFC. But man, I'm really not seeing that. You got Chris Olave that's having a good season, but what are the Saints going to do? That's my problem. I can't get a good read on them. This is a game that I expected them to win. They should have beat Carolina. But when you have turnovers and Jameis Winston's still injured, so they need some answers seriously if they want to do anything in the NFC.
Yeah, there's some confusion going on. They had a blocked field goal in this game, and the Saints have 11 allowed sacks on the season. That's fourth most.
Wow.
But for Carolina, Baker Mayfield continues to be a problem here, right?
Sucks, man.
Are you concerned at this point after 2 weeks below 50% completion percentage? And there's 48 and 48. But I do like Laviska Shenault. I think he's a nice piece for them. I always liked his game, and we've seen that, 67-yard touchdown play and a screen pass, so that helps. But yeah, Baker Mayfield continues to, give me concern. And Christian McCaffrey, they finally got back to running the football at over 100 yards rushing. So I can't let Carolina go yet. I have to keep betting on them, I guess. Unfortunately, I was ready to move on. Anyway, Detroit Lions 24 at the Minnesota Vikings 28, and really Detroit dominated most of this game. Vikings come back with a late score. Credit to them, though. They hung in there. They didn't quit. What you got, Sterling?
Man, I really like the Detroit Lions. They're a young team and they're learning how to win. So you're going to see blunders in the fourth quarter from time to time creep up. But, Amon-Ra St. Brown, they're going to get Jameson Williams in the fold here soon. They got a good running game, solid pieces on defense. I really like them. Kirk Cousins can go jump off a lake. Kirk Cousins is trash to me, and I wish they would have lost that game.
Put some respect on Kirk Cousins, man. They won the game because he was able to keep him in it. That's my Super Bowl pick team.
What about last week?
Yeah, he has a bad game. That's all. But he came back and he won. This game actually went almost exactly as I scripted it when we went through the show. I said Detroit's good. I expect them to stay in it, get a lead even. But when it comes down to it, Minnesota has a better roster. Minnesota has more experience, and that's going to be what carries them to the win in this game.
They're still
pretty
trash.
Much exactly as I saw it. They're not trash. They're going to win the division, man. I'm telling you.
Whoa! That's really tough to do right now.
Green Bay certainly looks better than we anticipated so far. They
already beat Green Bay.
Yeah, they did beat them. But Justin Jefferson held to 14 yards receiving in this game. But outside of that, Dalvin Cook, right? Dalvin Cook gets you the win there, but really
little bit of an
injury.
Injured. Dalvin Cook got injured, which is a concern, although they have the backup in Mattinson who can come in and make plays, and that's why you pay a guy like that to be there.
Right, but this comes down to Dan Campbell deciding to try the field goal at the end of the game, where the previous drive, they went for it, didn't get it. He decides to try to kick the field goal. They miss it. Easy, short field for Minnesota, which scores a touchdown. You can't knock him too much, but
they got the running game.
You wanted to go up by 6 to give Minnesota a tougher time of scoring.
They got the running game going well, right? The problem is Jared Goff is still holding you back, and that's why you can't go for it on a fourth down like that, because if they know you're going to run it and you don't make it, then you look stupid. And if you pass it with Jared Goff, you just don't trust him.
Yeah, last thought on this one, though, is the Lions just got to play a full game, right? The last couple drives here, punt, turnover on downs, missed field goal, and interception.
Oof.
You got to be more consistent. You got to play 4 quarters, and that's challenging for a lot of teams, right? All right, let's move on to the biggest upset of the week here. Ooh. Kansas City at Indianapolis. Indianapolis pull off a huge win here, 20-17 over Kansas City. This really all started with the muff punt early on. The Colts recovered a muff punt from the Kansas City Chiefs on the 4-yard line, which sparked the touchdown. And I think that was enough. That Kansas City stumbled most of the day. What you guys doing?
The thing that people aren't talking about is the Colts actually have corners who can clamp down. Stephon Gilmore, Kenny Moore, and they're physical, right? This is a physical football team. They still have a really good front seven. They got a good offensive line when they have their head on together. And Matt Ryan, for all intents and purposes, is still understanding and learning the system. So I just think it was as much as, the Colts played a good game. The Chiefs, they just got hit in the mouth. And we see that happen early in the season. If you're a Kansas City fan, you don't hit the panic button. It was just a bad week.
Yeah, I think this is the Indy team that we expected. Very much so, I would say, in this one. Good defense, good run game, decent passing. Nothing jumps out at you from this game. They just did a good job playing football all the way around. Special teams, defense, offense, all did enough. Nobody had to be the superstar that do it all on your own shoulders. Big turnaround from them based on what we saw in the first 2 weeks. This is the team we expect to see moving forward. Big win for them. The unusual, terrible game from Travis Kelce, who had a few drops in the end zone. It looked ugly at times. Not what you expect from him, but again, just a bad game. Everybody's going to have one every once in a while, and I expect him to fully bounce back. The argument between Mahomes and his offensive coordinator Bieniemy, that was, all in the headlines. I think that's just football. You disagree, it comes out on the field. Who cares? They're going to be on the same page next week, scoring a lot of points just like we expect.
Yeah, and I agree with Sterling on this one. The Colts are built to play smash mouth football. They got physical corners, good defense. They can run the ball down your throat with Jonathan Taylor. They're tough to beat. It's really odd to see them go 0-1-1 early on, but I expect them to get better as they go forward. And beating Kansas City is a good start to that, right? All right, let's move on to the next one here. We got the 0-3 Raiders. Now, at Tennessee, they lose the close one here, 24-22. The score the Raiders scored in garbage time, right? I think Tennessee was leading most of this game.
Yeah.
So good to see Tennessee bounce back. But Anthony, what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, we talked about coming into this game, who would be the bigger 0-3 problem, and because both of these teams came in 0-2. And that was the Raiders. Why? Because you make a big splash in the offseason by bringing in Devontae Adams, just like we've said on the show, and you lose. You start 0-3. You're backing yourself into a corner that's going to be harder and harder and harder for your team to come out of. You're lowering the expectations that you had coming into the season. You're not living up to them. You're not exceeding them. You're well below them. And now Tennessee has the bounce back game that they needed, on the back of Derrick Henry, on the back of some of their defense. They did enough to win the game. I don't think they look like a superstar team in this. They just did enough to get the victory, a much needed victory, to start giving them momentum going in the right direction. Whereas if you're on the Raiders right now, there's got to be a lot of questions running through that locker room. Does our coach know what he's doing? Did we make the right moves? Are we really competing? How are we going to win this division? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're going to have a tough time coming out of this to make the playoffs.
Well, Anthony, I hate your guts in terms of agreeing with you. But I agree completely with what Anthony said. But I'll add 1 point to that, Anthony. Where in the hell was Darren Waller? He had 3 receptions for 22 yards. You got one of the best tight ends in the league.
Yeah,
is it because you're focusing on Devontae Adams too much? I think it comes down to coaching, like you said, Anthony. We've seen that, your guy up there from New England, I don't even want to say his name, but dude can't coach. We've seen it with the Broncos, and now we're seeing it with the Raiders. He can't coach, and that's what you get. That's what you get, and not saying that, because the Colts are loving every second of it. Every time the Raiders lose, the Colts they just have a party. So screw him and get the ball to Darren Waller. I think they'll do a little bit better.
Yeah, and right now the Raiders are 7th in pass yards. They're 8th in touchdowns with 6. So it just makes you wonder, what's the defense doing, right? Let's start looking at that side of the ball. But yeah, right now the Raiders only 0-3 team in the entire league. But the Tennessee Titans finally find their identity, or at least try. Give the ball to Derrick Henry. Don't overthink it, right? 158 all-purpose yards for him, 85 rush, 58 pass. That's what you're going to have to do to win.
Yeah.
Right? You can't rely on Ryan Tannehill with this weak receiving core. We say it every week. Robert Woods doesn't quite look the same, although he did have 9 targets in this game, 85 yards. That's old Robert Woods. But is he a number 1 receiver? I don't think so, right? You still got the rookie and Treylon Burks, so you got to give the ball to Derrick Henry. So that works for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Raiders, man, that's, again, 0-3. That's going to be a very tough start for them with all them questions around, their head coach and what's going to happen with that team. But I do agree with Sterling on the point of the targeting Davante Adams too much. That happened in the last game. That's why he had 3 interceptions. They were just surrounding him. And in this, you make those types of mistakes, they're going to cost you games. And they got to start finding their other receivers. Do what Miami did with the tandem of Hill and Waddle. You got to have somebody else who's going to threaten you and give you fits.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are going to go in rebuild mode here. Anyway, the Philadelphia Eagles, best team in the league, per the record, 24-8 over the Washington Commanders. Carson Wentz plays his former team for the first time. Not pretty from the Commanders, right?
Yeah.
Well, you got a name like the Commanders. I mean, there's not much hope, to be honest. But to say the Eagles are the best team in the league, get out of here with that. But Jalen Hurts is playing ball, man. And the cool thing about this whole story, we got to see how it plays out. He's feasting on teams in the NFC right now, and he can only control who he plays. But I like to see him playing some stiffer competition. But what I'm saying about Jalen Hurts is, Philly may have their answer for a franchise quarterback. And they have draft capital in the coming draft. So if this works out, that's going to be ideal for them. So if you're a Philly fan, man, you got to be pumped and excited. Mm-hmm. The Commanders, dude, they can never get it together. They got these studs on defense, and Ron Rivera and these guys can't get it together, man. It's sad, but look, man, the Eagles roster is loaded.
Yeah, they were giving him a hard time all day. 9 sacks for the Eagles against Wentz. Wentz, again, we've talked about this, Anthony, just can't play a full half, right? He's 3 for 10, 24 yards in the first half, 22 for 33, 188 yards in the second half. This is really his kryptonite. What's your thoughts on the game, Anthony?
Yeah, thank you, next. That's pretty much it. This is exactly what we expected.
Yeah.
Eagles good, Washington not
I think
good.
I took the Commanders on this one. I thought the return to Philly would spark Carson Wentz to maybe step up and play, but man, they just dominated the offensive line. Is that good?
Yeah, the roster is that good, and
we got to pick a few upsets, but they do backfire on you. This is certainly one of those. Last thought: Jalen Hurts now has as many 300-yard games as he did last season. Last 2 weeks now, over 300 yards passing. Those receivers have certainly helped him out, and they're arguably the best receiving group in the league. All right, the Houston Texans at the Chicago Bears. Kind of a funky game here, kind of competing for the bottom, but I thought Houston was going to get it together, but the Bears end up winning this one.
I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken to see Houston not get the win here because I said they were going to get their first win, but they're playing pretty much where I said they would in our preseason preview. They're competing in games. They're always in games. They put up the stats. The team is better than you think, but they're not going to win games. I still picked them for the under, even though I had a lot of praise for this team and a lot of pieces I like on this team. They're not a complete team yet. And we saw that in this one with blowing that lead late again, and not being able to hold on for their first win. Credit goes to the Bears, though. They played a good game. They stayed in it. Again, I don't think they did anything overly impressive, but you win the game when you're the better team, and they showed that they still have what it takes to win. How about the running back, right? Khalil Herbert. Love the kid. He looks huge. He looks good. I mean, against the Texans, maybe you can say, okay, that's a blip. We'll see what he does against a really good defense, but that's not a scrub defense either. And I picked him in a lot of my fantasy leagues late, and people were like, "Ooh," and I said, "Watch out for this kid." And I'm happy I got him now. Granted, he's playing due to the injury to Montgomery, and we'll see what happens if Montgomery ends up coming back. But if he keeps going like this, he's going to be the guy carrying that team.
Well, you mentioned a running back, but you didn't mention Dameon Pierce. I think he's the best rookie running back in this class. Well, he's playing like through 3 weeks. I mean, the guy's a bruiser, and he's everything Zach Moss was supposed to be. There's not much negative things that you could say about these two teams. That they're rebuilding squads, and we've been through that, right? We've seen what that looks like. You just hope that they continue to make the necessary pieces in place. But I picked the Houston Texans to cover the spread, and through 3 quarters, I thought, okay, looks like I might be winning some money. Well, if it wasn't for the Bills and if it weren't for the damn Texans, I would have won $500. So I'm out $30 on that bet, but that's okay because it's always another week.
It's just life as an NFL bettor, right?
Yep.
By the way, the 2-1 Chicago Bears we're talking about, the winning record
2-1.
Chicago Bears. Isn't that crazy to think about?
That's crazy.
They haven't done anything amazing this season.
They're as good as the Bills. They're as good as the Bills.
Record-wise, yes.
Yep. Even though they're dead last in passing offense, second in the league in rushing offense, they know who they are.
Yep.
Justin Fields in this game with 27.7 quarterback rating.
Ooh, that's awesome. He's real good.
But I'd expect to see more from Justin Fields at this point. But I mean, they're committed to the run. They've abandoned the passing game.
He has no one to throw to, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Mooney is your number 1 wide receiver. I mean, it's a rough thing to be throwing to receivers like that. But you got to beat the teams you're better than, and they are. Sure. They are.
Yeah. Last quick thought here on the Texans. They just cannot sustain drives. Their lowest average yards per drive in the league at 24.1. So got to stay on the field, got to get those third downs. All right, Jacksonville, big win over the Chargers in LA, 38-10. I don't even know what happened here, but is Trevor Lawrence coming along in his sophomore year? Big topic in the offseason. Now you're starting to see it. Are they putting it together, or is this just a slump for the Chargers?
Oh, yeah, no, he's putting it together. I mean, there was a reason he was selected number 1 overall. This Jacksonville team has a really good roster. They're not far off, and they're in a weak AFC South. So, you got to start with the Chargers, man. Like, all this hype about, we're going to be one of the best teams in the league. I've said it on the show, off the show. Like, when all these pieces, when are you going to actually show it? Like, I'm tired of the talking. You got Derwin James. You got a Bosa. You got a Khalil Mack. You got Austin Eckler and 2 wide receivers that are dope. Like, when are you going to show it? Oh, and you got a stalwart left tackle. So I'm tired of hearing them talk, man, until you got to show me something on the field because if you don't, then we got to really start talking about how good is Justin Herbert actually.
Hey, good question.
Yeah, I think
Anthony?
The big thing in this game, I got to give credit to the Jacksonville run game, right? I mean, just incredible the stats they're putting up and what they're able to do sharing the ball. But Robinson's emerged. I mean, that's what we expect from him. A lot of people thought ETN would take that job, and it's not the case right now. You got to give it to the guy who's making the big plays. And the question on the other side is the Chargers getting that monkey off their back. This is what they're known for, right? Oh, the Chargers have this really good roster coming into the season. They're going to be special. And then they end up in last place. It's like, what are you doing wrong here? You got to come out and show. Now, we all know Herbert was hurt in this game with his ribs. And, a couple of times you could really tell. But, those are the type of things you got to play through in the NFL in order to get wins, especially against a team like Jacksonville, who I don't think is ready to compete with a team with the expectations of a team like the Chargers. And that's what they did. They came in here and put a whooping on them.
Yeah, this one got out of hand really fast. But really, I wanted to point out, Zay Jones and Christian Kirk have been good week in and week out. Very surprising. These players were kind of buried in depth charts. Christian Kirk disappeared. So credit to the Peterson, the head coach there, right? And Trevor Lawrence, no turnovers in this game. 3 touchdowns. I mean, he looked like he's supposed to look in this one, right? Right now, as we speak, the Jaguars are first in scoring drive percentage. It's the percentage of drives that end in a score. Hey, can't knock that stat. And then Justin Herbert, only 5 of 14 passing over 10 yards. You'd like to think his injury had something to do with that, but hey, even Michael Jordan and Josh Allen have bad games, right? All right, let's move on to got 4 more. First one is Green Bay at Tampa Bay, 14-12. All defense, all day for this game.
Yeah. Talk about it
on this, Sterling.
The battle of the grandpas. I mean, I'm over it. I mean, this game sucked in every sense of the way. If you're a defensive guy and you like punting, then this was your game because it just sucked. And I know you hear all this Tom Brady talk, man. I don't know if it's because Giselle took the she's not giving no poo-tang anymore, but Tom Brady ain't it. Aaron Rodgers ain't it. And your boy Romeo Dobbs is balling out, man. He had a good game. 8 targets, 8 receptions for him.
And a touchdown and like 88 yards. Yeah.
The game sucked.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, here's the problem, right? You have one contender, one pretender in this game, in my mind. The contender is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why? Because they had no receivers in this game, and they're getting them back. Mike Evans is coming back. Chris Godwin's coming back. Do they have problems on the offensive line? Yes, but manageable. Nothing that looks as bad as what we've seen from like Cincinnati, for example. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are literal contenders and will be there when it comes time in the NFC and throughout the playoffs, I believe. They have one of the best overall rosters in the NFL. Their defense has been speaking up so far this season. Their offense will get a lot better. The Green Bay Packers are playing with what they got. That's it.
Right. Hey, give them credit.
They'll build that chemistry, but they got their full roster right now. There's nothing coming in.
Their defense looks good, and their running backs are studs, right? A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones. They're looking like the real deal. But really, the Buccaneers, 2 for 11 on third down in this game. Just ugly. You got to think Mike Evans has something to do with that. Chris Godwin, obviously, but man, 2 for 11. That doesn't sound like a Tom Brady-led team to me. Mm-hmm. He seems a little different this year. We all know this is probably his last year, but I mean, the performance. Are we going to see the performance go down? They really haven't scored a lot of points to this point.
I think he'll get better. He'll get better. He's Tom Brady.
3 more here. We got the Falcons 27 at the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith goes over 300 yards. That would be the first time in a long, long time.
Yeah, a quarterback going over 300 yards against the Falcons defense, not exactly breaking news for anybody. I think the bigger news here is that the Falcons won the game. This was a tight game throughout. There was back and forth a little bit, but the Falcons were able to hold on and get the win. And that's, what I did pick them to win this game. So I was happy with that result. But I think this is a game of a battle of the bottom feeders, I guess. They're both kind of not in a good place. I'd rather be the Falcons right now than the Seahawks, I think. But the Falcons pull off the win in this one. Not a lot to write home about. Welcome back, Kyle Pitts. He kind of showed up in this game versus the first couple where everybody was wondering, oh my God, is he not going to be used in this offense? Does he not have the chemistry with Mariota? Well, he came back and had a good game here. And the Falcons do have some pieces. I think much like the Houston Texans, they're going to compete. This was one where they actually got the win.
Yeah, I didn't even know these two teams were playing this week. I would much rather paint a hot garage than watch these two trash teams play, to be honest. But it was a battle of the stud quarterbacks and Marcus Mariota and Geno Smith. Like, get out of here. I'm sure there probably wasn't 10,000 fans in the seats, but
it's
they
like
do
the
serve
XFL. It's
now,
like an XFL game.
Hey, they do serve Chick-fil-A on Sundays in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so that's a plus.
I thought they didn't serve it.
No, they do, apparently.
They do now? Oh, man, that changed. That was big news that I missed somehow. Kyle Pitts, he's a 1,000-yard receiver last year. This is the most receptions for him on the year. You got to get him the ball, right? But Cordell Patterson, over 140 yards on the ground, 17 attempts. I mean, he's the difference maker in this game, in my opinion. Yeah. All right, we got the L.A. Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona, again, just did not show up in this game. We said last week, Anthony, feed Marquise Brown and you'll likely win the game. Well, they did that, and they still didn't score any points. So we were off on that one. But, 58 pass attempts here for Kyler Murray. They gotta get more balanced. It's just not working in Arizona.
Yeah, remember that you picked the Cardinals in this game, but I picked the Rams. They're one of my 6 picks, and I told you I had confidence that they would win this game because without DeAndre Hopkins there, again, we see kind of a lost Arizona offense show up. So I think they just need to figure it out, get through these first couple games, these next couple of games that they're going to have without DeAndre Hopkins, and then they will hit their stride once he's back. But they need to figure it out fast because you can't just continue to lose these games in this fashion or you're going to back yourself too far into a corner to come back and make the playoffs.
Yeah, it was nice to see the Rams kind of get things back in order. But, from last I heard, Modern Warfare 2 is going to release soon. And so Kyler Murray's been preoccupied with that instead of watching film. So, it's Cliff. Cliff is too pretty to be a head coach in the NFL. This team, you know what? If I had to make a San Diego Chargers or the LA Chargers of the NFC, it's got to be the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, how many excuses are we going to have continually when this team is going to actually show up and play to their potential? I mean, you got athletes on defense, you got athletes on the offensive side of the ball, but nothing seems to happen. Kyler Murray, great. You threw over 300 yards, but what did it really amount to? I mean, this is not a really good secondary from the Rams. You should have carved them up, and you should have put more points on the board. So what's the issue? That's remained to be seen for the rest of the season.
Right. And the Cardinals here, 0-2 in the red zone after leading time of possession, first downs, yards, and number of plays. Just got to finish those drives. Things slow down. For the Rams, though, looks like they get back on track. I think it's a big win for them. The big thing here, Matt Stafford, no turnovers, right? And it's his third game with a 70% completion percentage. But Cooper Kupp has his lowest reception yards since week 14 of 2020. Not 2021, 2020.
Yeah, man.
So it's because Anthony and I mentioned it. Now he's, the 1 week
Everybody has
just
to
bet it because I think his over-under was at 98 yards.
Yeah,
and that's
not
like
100.
low. That's his low, right? So, yeah. He's down to 40 this week. So last game of the week, though, barn burner, San Francisco 49ers at the Denver Broncos. Where do we even start with these teams? You got to start with what is going on with the Broncos offense.
Well, who's high? I mean, we know they're in the Mile High City, but somebody was high. Garoppolo was throwing the ball from the back of the end zone. Russell Wilson's thinking he's Mr. Unlimited. Maybe he's spending too much time with Sierra. You got a head coach that if you need an advisor for clock management, are you effing serious? Like, come on, dude. Every time Nathaniel Hackett comes to play, we've seen this with the Buffalo Bills. He gets too pretty when you're doing, it's 2 weeks ago, but when you're doing a reverse to the tight end around the edge, like, bro, something is wrong. Russell Wilson's not that guy. The Denver Broncos, you suck. You suck. And the San Francisco 49ers, at least they have an excuse. Trey Lance is out. Jimmy Garoppolo is just mid. Yep. That's what the kids say these days. He's mid. So I don't even care. Like, the Denver Broncos got to win. They're 2-1. So I would love to see the Bears and the Broncos play and see who's the better team.
There you
that's
go.
Where they are.
I love it. Yes, it's really. I agree almost completely with what you said there. I'd say one of the points for me in this game is Jimmy Garoppolo is a lot like Bitcoin. 1 minute he's the savior. Oh my God, he came and he won us the game. The next minute, he's garbage and worth absolutely nothing.
I'm banking.
Will the real Jimmy Garoppolo please show up?
His weekly value is now lower.
Yeah, I think
just
like every week, dude. He's too pretty. I guess the prettier you are, the worse you're going to be.
This game showed why they moved on from Jimmy Garoppolo. You need more consistency. You don't want highs and lows. You'd rather have mediocre than just highs and lows like this. And you can't do that. And what a stinker of a game. The Broncos suck. They need to get it together, man. They're not going to beat anybody except this team, the San Francisco 49ers, who showed up with Jimmy G stepping out of the back of the end zone and throwing a pick six in the same play.
Yeah, I don't know what
it's ugly.
I don't know what the record is, but there's 19 punts in this game from both teams, 10 from the Broncos, 9 from the 49ers. Also, one last thought. Where do I apply to be a clock manager for a head coach?
Yeah, right.
Is that on Indeed?
Hey, the clock's running. Hey!
I mean, I got over 3,000 hours a week on Madden managing the clock, right? So I think I'm qualified for that.
Yeah, right. And I think I had more yardage getting up to go to the bathroom watching this game than they had in the actual game. Pathetic.
Sunday night football for you. Woo.
Whew, that's our rapid reaction. Got through it pretty good, right? That was about 40 minutes. I mean, we had a little intro, so I'd say about 30 minutes. That's pretty good.
Not bad for that many games, that much action. It's a good summary.
Yeah, definitely good there. Let's get into next topic. We have to talk about these Eagles a little more. There's not only a handful of undefeated teams in the league. The Eagles look like the best team through 3 weeks. Do we think they're going to be the top team in the NFC coming out?
First of all, do we think, I think you mean, do you and Sterling think? My preseason pick to go to the NFC Championship game was the Eagles. Yes, I think this. Yes, I believe this. Yes, I saw this. Yes, their defense is good. Yes, their offense is good. Yes, bringing in these weapons brought them to the next level. Did I think Jalen Hurts was going to look like an MVP? No, but he has because he's got the weapons and they're using them the right way.
Listen,
Look
Anthony.
at the other teams in the league. They're not.
You make it sound like the Eagles are just coming out of a juggernaut of a conference, and they're not.
They're not.
Let's look at their next few games: the Jaguars, Cardinals, Cowboys, Steelers, Texans, Commanders, Colts, Packers, Titans, Giants. They can win all those damn games, and those teams are effing trash.
Mhm.
Like, they're good, but they haven't played anybody, and it's not their fault. But the NFC is down. We noticed,
Yes.
what happened this
Wide open.
offseason, the exodus from the NFC to the AFC. And look, the Eagles can make it, and kudos to Jalen Hurts, but I can't place them in the top teams of the league just because, like, if you put them in the AFC, I think it's a different story because you're playing teams week after week. So, but kudos to them, man. Maybe now they got something to cheer about.
Yeah, I mean, they look great. Now, which team do you think can beat them out of the NFC? It doesn't look like Tampa Bay right now, right?
Nobody. The Rams
Maybe
could
the
give them a
Packers.
good game. The
Vikings
Rams
got blown out by them.
I think if they played Tampa
Rams-
Bay early in the playoffs, that could wind up bad for them. That Tampa could win that game just based on their experience and if they're healthy going into that game. I think Tampa could be a bad matchup for them, but I don't have them playing them. I think that the Minnesota Vikings, when they get there and if they're hitting their stride, that's a bad matchup for them. Offense, they run the ball, they're going to limit you, they're going to, pin you in a corner, play good defense. That's why I picked Minnesota over them in the NFC Championship game. But there are a couple matchups I don't like for the Eagles. Could they end up making it all the way to the Super Bowl? Absolutely. If they keep playing like this and connecting and having communication, they're clicking on all the right levels. So that's if you continue to do that and beat the opponents you're supposed to beat, to Sterling's point, the biggest bet I made in the preseason, the biggest bet was the Eagles on the over and the Eagles to win the division. The two biggest bets, more than my Buffalo Bills, because the expectation was there for the Buffalo Bills, but the Eagles were getting downright disrespected. I think it was like plus 350. So that's easy. I bet $100 on that.
Hurts,
I'm going to win it. Maybe 350. Thank you.
We didn't know what Jalen Hurts was. We saw flashes last year. We just weren't sure if is he a bridge quarterback or is he more of a franchise type quarterback? He's really starting to look like a franchise type guy right now. But I think coming into the season, that was the biggest question, right? And that's probably why the Eagles have set themselves up to draft a quarterback had it gone south or if he performed poorly. But right now, they're completely on fire, right? Passing yards, they're third in the league with 890. Rushing yards, they're sixth in the league with 451.
I think
through 3 weeks. A lot of football left here, but they look really
There's
good.
no signs of slowing down for them, man.
Right.
I mean,
Sterling's point.
We're talking about when you look at the playoffs, I mean, the Eagles are definitely going to be the number one seed, but there's two wild card teams that have to make it in, 3 wild card teams that have to make it in, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep, 3 now.
And I think we're going to see a team with a losing record from the NFC make the playoffs.
It might. That's very true. They might. And to Sterling's point earlier, how far can they go is the question we have on the screen, right? And when you face an AFC team, that might be the limit for me, right? So if they get to the Super Bowl and they have to face the Bills, the Chiefs, whatever team you want, the Chargers, whatever team people are fancy picking right now, I think that is when they run into the wall and they will not look as good as they have up until that point. Now, if they're still clicking on all cylinders, they could win the Super Bowl, sure. But I think that's where I have them. I have them losing in the NFC Championship game solely because of that experience and momentum there. But could they make it to the Super Bowl? Yes, I think that's as far as they get. That's the limit.
Yeah, what's interesting here, there's only 3 teams in the top 10 with points per game through 3 weeks. A lot of football left, no conclusions coming from this. Eagles are 5th. The only other team higher than them in points per game is the Detroit Lions. And the other team in the top 10 is the Atlanta Falcons right now.
Wow, yeah.
Eagles and the Eagles alone right now through 3 weeks. So they're sitting there, right? So, all right, let's move into our Week 3 power rankings. We're just going to go through 6 quarterbacks, 2 picks each, and we're talking about how they've performed up to this point through 3 games, right? So you might see some variation here. Quarterbacks who normally wouldn't be at top when we're talking about full seasons. We're only talking about these first 3 weeks, right? So we'll do a little round robin. I'll go first, Anthony second, Sterling third. And I'm going to start with Lamar Jackson has got to be the best quarterback in the league right now. The guy's 4th in the league in rushing. He's 1st in every category in the passing. He's betting on himself. He's carrying his team. I mean, they dropped the ball literally against Miami. But, I mean, they were up big 35-14, right? Lamar got him there. Rashard Bateman looks like a star. You know, I think what Lamar Jackson's doing in the league right now is putting everyone on notice, making everyone drool. Pay this man, because if this keeps up, you're going to have to owe him $300 million guaranteed.
Do you want me to do my pick or what? Comment on yours.
You can comment.
I think, has Lamar been good through the first 3 weeks? Has he been MVP level? Absolutely. But are we taking into account competition thus far? Because I feel like he's done what he had the potential to do against the teams he's faced. But let's see, the rest of the season, can he keep that up? I don't know if I would project that. But for the first 3 games, if that's your guy, that's your guy. I mean, he's got the numbers. He's got the support. There's an argument to be made that he is the best quarterback right now.
I'm not going as far as say he's the best quarterback in the league.
Me neither.
But he's top 3 weeks. He's playing lights out football, man, and a lot's on his shoulder. These teams in the NFL, man, they game plan and they're going to be ready for him. So he's got a big test with Buffalo this week. But if I got to go Josh Allen here, I guess he's second because you picked first. Josh Allen's number 2. What can this guy not do? I mean, he's not doing it on the ground like Lamar Jackson is, but when he runs, he's efficient. He's finding Stephon Diggs. I mean, he's throwing it to so many different receivers. He's only second to Tua in terms of completion percentage, which is a big time stat. And last week yesterday he threw the ball all over the yard. Too many attempts. 63 times. That's too many times. But if Josh Allen is playing like the best quarterback in the league right now.
We did go out of order there, but we all know Anthony was going to take Josh Allen anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, of course I was. Yes, he's the best quarterback in the league right now.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Sterling. Nobody can stop him. He is the offense. He's the running back. He's making great throws. And we say this every week. You can't bet against Josh Allen right now because he's playing lights out. The Bills beat themselves in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't lose because of him, right?
Josh Allen had one bad pass into the end zone at the end of the game, granted, and in the fourth quarter. Bad timing, but one bad pass and you're already knocking him down to number 2. Get out of here. He's number 1.
All right. So everyone knows that's going to be probably those two. Mahomes is arguably in that conversation, but number 3, who you taking, Anthony?
I got to go Jalen Hurts here. We just talked him up, right? We just said that he's balling out right now. He's doing what he has to do. If you're putting Lamar at 1, there is no way in hell you're not putting Jalen Hurts at 3.
You just criticized me for competition.
Eagles competition.
But it's still what he's done over 3 games.
Yes, it's just like I said. You can have Lamar at 1, but if you put Lamar at 1, there's nobody else at 3 but Jalen Hurts because of what he's done in the 3 weeks. He is the MVP over there in the NFC right now. He's the one exceeding expectations, looking like he deserves the contract that Lamar is going to get. So, I mean, if you're talking about just the play through the 3 games, he's minimized the mistakes. He's built the chemistry and proved it with his receivers that he's got. He's done everything right. He's got the legs. I'm telling you, it's Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts are the same quarterback in different leagues right now.
Right, but Lamar with Jalen Hurts weapons, any of these guys with the weapons that Jalen Hurts has,
sure.
I mean, they would be balling out too, right? A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I mean, there's just endless talent on that team. A.J. Brown alone, put him on the Bills, I mean, it would be ridiculous, right? So, yeah, that brings us to number 4. And obviously, I would put Pat Mahomes 3 over Hurts. So I'm going to put Pat Mahomes at 4. I think his talent around him is lower this year, and they look the same. Nobody wants to play them. I know they dropped a game against the Colts, but look, every team drops a few games a season. Pat Mahomes is just that guy. He's at the point in his career where he's so good that nobody wants to pick him for anything anymore. But he's definitely the best in this top 3 or 4, right? Especially coming out week 1, putting up 40 points. So, yeah, I don't think anyone's going to argue with me, but Pat Mahomes 4 should be higher, in my opinion.
Really? You think higher than Hurts through the first 3 games? After the stinker of a game they had yesterday or Sunday?
Yeah, I think so, man. It's Pat Mahomes we're talking about here, right?
All right.
We're not talking about past accomplishments. We're talking about this year.
Yeah.
This year, 3 weeks.
Okay, I mean, he's having a great season. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I just think with he still got Travis Kelce. Don't get me wrong, but the depleted weapons, he still looks the same. They still look efficient. They're still putting up a lot of points, minus last week. I would take Pat Mahomes over Hurts right now. Anyway, let's move on to number 5. Sterling, you're up for number 5.
Justin Herbert. I mean, this guy, you talk about grit. I mean, the guy has broken ribs, and he's still out there trying to sling it. Now, they didn't get the win last week or yesterday. The defense needs to step up. But Jalen Hurts, the previous 2 weeks he's been awesome. He took Mahomes to the brink, right? So it's. I know we're only talking about 3 weeks. I know I mentioned, how good it, if we see this continually going on, like if he puts up a stinker like yesterday and we see this continuing, we have to kind of evaluate how good is Justin Herbert as a leader. And there's one thing if you pad the stats, right? But you have to come through when it matters most. And we got to see that from him. So, I still think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league, and that's what he's playing like. So let's just see if he continues that trend.
Yeah, minor setback with the injury here, but yeah, he's got huge expectations this year for sure. And so far, I think he's lived up to that. I think a couple setbacks here and there so far. But
yeah,
I guess the big question is, where's Aaron Rodgers lay here? Is Aaron
Well,
Rodgers in the
we're
conversation?
talking play
with
through
Justin
2 games.
Herbert?
If I'm going 6, it's my choice, so I don't care what you
Right,
think.
I'm just saying,
but
where
two
is
things-
Justin Herbert on that?
2 things to add on Herbert. 2 things to add on Herbert is grit and determination in the last 2 games, right? So there was a lot of questions coming out of the Jacksonville game. Why did he even play 4 quarters? Because they were being blown out by the 4th quarter. Because he wanted to, because he didn't let the coach take him out of the game. He said, no, I'm staying out there, right? If I could start the game, I'm finish it, basically, which I respect.
It's understandable.
And the fact that last week when he was injured on the previous play, he could have run for a first down. He couldn't do it. He threw the ball away. The very next play, he bombs it into the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, just that talent and ability alone to do that and make a play like that.
It's
very,
extremely
very impressive.
no doubt about it. Yeah, through 3 weeks, played the Raiders, played at Kansas City, and now dropped one to Jacksonville. They're 1-2, and there's a lot on his shoulders. I mean, they're good enough to be better than that. He's got to get healthy.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think it's his actual rib that's broken. It's the cartilage fractured, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets back to full health because the guy is extremely. His arm talent's arguably the best in the league. He's side by side with Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, in my opinion. All right, Anthony.
Number 6.
Number 6. What do you got?
You mentioned Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think I can choose the quarterback of a run-first team if you're talking about through the first 3 weeks of the season. Yeah. He's not doing much through these games. Is he elite? Yes. Are we saying Tom Brady's on this list because he's elite? That's why I thought it was stupid that Tom Brady was number 1 on the players' top 100 list. What year is it? 1999? He's not number 1. Come on, people. But for 6, as much as it pains me, especially my voice still being the way it is, it's got to be Tua, right? I mean, you look at the comeback win against the Ravens, the 4th quarter domination in that game. The stats that he put up were just sick. 600 yards, 600. I mean, insane. And now, coming in and beating the Bills, doing what he had to do. He didn't put up impressive numbers, but they got the win, and he was efficient, and he was able to do what he needed to. He didn't make a lot of mistakes. I think, as much as it pains me to say so, Tua has to be on this list at 6.
Yeah, has the one. He's played well, right? Basically, making good key throws is kind of the topic that I want to talk about. He's in the moment that the team needs a good throw the most. Tua has been coming through for them, right? And that's even when you're down 35-14, just putting the ball on the money. He looks comfortable in this offense, which I think is extremely important. It's the most comfortable I've ever seen Tua, right? But really, a 6-touchdown game is the reason he's in this conversation. You just don't see that from developing quarterbacks. So I think through 3 weeks, he's certainly arrived. Can he continue is the big question. Is he actually in this conversation of elite quarterback, franchise
maintain
quarterback?
it now?
Because if you asked me this a year ago, I would definitely say no.
Yeah, Absolutely. I agree with you that I don't know that I believe he will maintain this for the season. I think, he's got to prove us and everybody wrong and show that he does belong in this conversation of top 6 quarterbacks right now. That's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's a long season. Got some film out there, but I think with this receiving core, you just cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot count out Tua right now. They're just too good. They're too talented. And really, their head coach, Mike McDaniel, has shown me that he knows how to call offense. That was one of the big things I wanted to see going into the season. So, all right, next topic here. Let's continue with Tua a little bit. Continues to get hype. Are we going to see Tua? Are the Dolphins real contenders? Is really what I want to get at.
Well, contenders for what?
They're 3-0 right now.
There's the wild card. That's what they're contenders for.
Yeah. Well, can they win the AFC? Right now, they're top of the AFC.
What?
No.
3-0. Record's the record.
No, I understand that, but no.
Let me ask you, was Tennessee the best team in the AFC last year?
They were not.
But they're the number 1 seed.
But look at the division they played in. The AFC South is not that good. And so when you have the Buffalo Bills, the juggernaut in the AFC East, I mean, I know they just beat Buffalo, right? But that next game is in Orchard Park, buddy. And it's
you got the Jets twice.
It'll be chilly, buddy.
It's gonna be
already beat New England once.
Listen, Tua is the point guard of that team, right? He's doing what he's supposed to do. Tua's going to get a little bit of hype, but he is not on the same stratosphere as Josh Allen and quarterback, or even the best quarterbacks in the league. Let's be real about this. He's doing what he's supposed to do, but again, teams are going to kind of figure you out. So I want to see how they adjust. What are they going to do when it gets tough? I mean, we saw the Bills with the depleted secondary kind of take Tyreek Hill out of the game. He had that one completion to waddle over the middle. And he had a couple good throws, but again,
with the cover 2, right?
We're gonna have to see more of this. So right now it's cute, but no. Is Josh Allen doing too much?
Next question, yes.
The Bills need a run game. And the three of us have been saying this for quite some time for the past few years. And you can only trot Josh Allen out there to have him be the offensive everything. But I'm telling you, it's going to have a toll. And so we need to see more, not from Josh Allen, but from the surrounding pieces, mainly the offensive line and the run game.
You need balance.
Big questions with Tua, right? The first game against New England, he looked average at best, not excellent. 3 quarters through Baltimore, he looked average at best, not excellent. And then he looked really good in the 4th quarter. And then he looked okay versus the Bills. Good. He didn't have a bad game at all, but he didn't have a good game, great game. All-star game. Tua gets the hype, but the question remains, can he maintain it, which we said. Can he play in cold weather? He's not.
We've seen that
he can grind and play.
Not cold weather yet, right.
Can he stay up with defenses that are not depleted, that have guys that can take away the ball or spy on you or keep speed with your receivers? We don't know. That's the question that remains with him. And totally Sterling is on. Yes, Josh Allen does too much, but it can never be too much if that also makes sense, right? Josh Allen should be involved in every play no matter what. But you do have to build a run game if you expect to beat good teams in the long run. If they have a good defense that can stop you in the way that the Dolphins just did to Josh Allen, then you're going to have your back against the wall and you got to do something. The solution there is simple. Stop being stupid. Okay, Zach Moss sucks. Zach Moss sucks. Okay, give the ball to Devin freaking Singletary. Make him your RB1, your true RB1, and stop messing around. All right.
Zach Moss 11.5 yards per carry in this one.
Yeah,
Singletary 1.4.
Stop it.
Get out of here with that. You know what we're saying. Singletary is the better running back. You need to stop with this. Oh, we're going to get 6 running backs involved and see which one gets yardage bullcrap. And stop calling runs and forcing yourself to pass. Use the running backs like they are intended to be used in this offense. Screen plays, short run game, line up 5 wide receivers and then give it to the running back. That's what they're not going to expect from you. You can't do these. Oh, you got 2 tight end sets with a running back and then you run the ball up the middle and everybody knows it's coming. You just got to change it up.
All right. My last thought here on Tua, though, I think there's going to come a time where he doesn't have to do too much. Just manage the offense. This team's stacked all the way around. They play good defense. They got really good receivers. You can do a lot with them. Their running backs are great in this system. I think just there's going to come a time where Tua tries to do too much, and I think if he just scales it back can manage the game, I think they'll have success this season. I think they're in the conversation to win the division. They're certainly off to a good start, being 2-0 in the division. If they want to sustain that or keep that going, Tua's going to have to scale it back at some point and just manage, right?
Well, that's what he's doing now. He's not doing anything more than that.
Well, I mean, the hype train continues to go.
Correct.
The fans are going nuts. You know,
You're right.
Sometimes it gets to your head where you try to do a lot, right?
Yeah, that's the argument for that.
Yes.
Tua's being too hyped. He's
Right.
being too hyped. He's not really doing a lot. You just want him to be the game manager.
He doesn't have
and
to
that's
do
what
a
he
lot
does best
on this team.
Yes.
And Miami, like we said, they won 9 games last year. They won 10 the year before.
Defense.
I mean, they've been good. This is a good team.
Let's be honest. Miami's defense beat New England. They scored a touchdown. They held them to 70 more. New England's lost because Miami's defense beat them. The Bills lost because they beat themselves, really, but the defense for Miami is what played it up, man. They deserve the credit for beating the Bills.
And on
So
Josh
the
Allen,
defense
though,
is showing up, not Tua. The defense deserves the hype.
Josh Allen,
my
though, is starting to get a name for yourself for not finishing close games. And it's not maybe just him. A lot of this is defense. We've just seen this a lot recently. The Kansas City game. You know, we go back last year, Tampa Bay, Tennessee.
You can't finish a game you're not in.
Jacksonville,
Arizona on the Hail Mary. This is starting to become a story, a legitimate story for the Buffalo Bills. They don't finish close games. They're 0-6 in close games. I'd have to look into the parameters of that. I just saw the headline, but what's a close game mean?
It's like 1-8 in one-score games. One-score games.
Yeah, well, from memory, though, he slips on 4th and inches. He has McKenzie open in this game and throws a dud football. I mean, you got to just finish it, you know? But there has been times we've seen Josh Allen do it. The Kansas City game, the Arizona game last year, where he throws it to Diggs to get ahead with, 30 seconds left. Loses on a Hail Mary, and then basically we all know the Chiefs get story.
To be honest, I don't know if this is an actual thing.
Yeah,
they just
that's what's weird about it,
right? It's like when you look at it, it's like each time someone. It's like you could blame it on the offense, you could blame it on the defense, you could blame it on the coaching.
It's someone's fault, around the team.
I don't think there's this narrative building that Josh Allen isn't a pressure player or he's not going to in a clutch, right? And I'm like, whoa,
that's
you know. But again, this is a team sport, and this is the NFL. And you know what? Like, let's talk about this. As much as they say the Bills aren't closing teams out in close games, the Bills also have the weight of the world on their backs as the best team in the league. And people are going to give you their best shot every single week. That's right. True. Let's talk at the end of the year, and let's see if the Bills get the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's what matters to me. Stats do tell a story. But you also have to look at, okay, what do I know to be true? That Josh Allen is a clutch pressure player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he has mishaps just like every other quarterback does.
For sure.
Right? But I get it. When you're elevated as the best team in the league, they have to find something wrong with you. So they're going to find a narrative, and this is just part of their narrative.
Well, also, if you want to be the number 1 seed in this year's AFC, you got to win these close games.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have hiccups like you did. They led the Miami Dolphins in every single category. You got to finish the game, And I'm glad this happened early. It is really unfortunate that the Bills lost a divisional game. I would hope that this would happen to an NFC team, but I expect them to rebound. Like Von Miller said, you got to take your medicine, right? So,
well, at least you weren't sitting in 120-degree weather for 3 hours. Hey, I enjoyed the game. This is the first time in my long tenure of being a Bills fan, my whole life, that I actually, coming off a loss, I don't even feel that bad about it, because I know that that's not a representation of what this team is and what this team's going to be and where they're going to go. So go ahead and celebrate, Miami, like you won the Super Bowl for winning a Week 3 game against a depleted Buffalo Bills team in awkward fashion, right? Go ahead and celebrate like you won the Super Bowl, because this is as high as it gets for you. The division is still the Buffalo Bills.
Guess what? Find a run game. We don't have this problem. Think about it. Get an effing run game, man.
Anyway, you can tune into Intentional Grounding every Bills pregame. Find Sterling there on Buffalo Rumblings. Getting you ready for a weekend.
Hold on. Why don't you guys just join me on Sunday? This coming Sunday, Baltimore Ravens pregame show on Intentional Grounding. let's get the old band back together and let's do the damn thing, shall we?
Might be able to pull that off. What
You
1 o'clock
might.
game, right?
You might.
Well, it's my father's birthday, so
Who cares?
I'm on the farm,
Who
which is a little
cares?
rough. But I'll make it work on the phone or something for sure.
Oh, you can't. And if you're gonna come on Intentional Grounding, you got to come right, bro. So if we need to postpone this a week or two, we
might
can
have
do
to
that.
Well, you get me on this week, him on next week.
If
There
you
you
want to
go.
if you want to be on
There you go.
Anthony, I
Up
would
to you.
love to have you
Up
on.
to you.
We could talk Bills all effing day.
I miss talking
let's
all
plan
Bills.
on it.
I
Let's
miss
plan
talking
on the
Bills.
Anthony Romeo on Intentional Grounding this Sunday.
There you go. And we hope to have you back weekly, by the way, Sterling.
That's right,
Every
Sterling.
Monday, reacting for everybody on Tuesday. So Touchback
right.
Tuesday show. So expect a lot of Bills talk. We're not trying to do that, but it's just going to happen anyway.
They're that damn good.
Anyway, last segment of the day. Class or ass?
I love the title.
Gonna put a take up here. Is it a classy take, legit, or is it assy take?
Well,
Right.
Eric, if you found them, they're all ass.
Well, we'll see about that. Number 1 here. This is from John Ledyard. Get rid of my other banner here. This is on Twitter. PFF graded Josh Allen with 6 turnover-worthy plays against the Dolphins, most in a game in his career, per their grading. Respect Tua comments, I counted 6 as well. Sterling, what do you got? Class or ass for this one? What is a turnover-worthy play, and should that be counted?
It's capital ass. Nobody effing cares about turnover-worthy plays. I mean, it's either a turnover or it's not.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're going to talk about turnover-worthy plays, then Tua had some with a pick 6 to Matt Milano. Like, I don't care, but it didn't happen.
Yes.
So, people, look, I think stats and the, advanced stats and metrics are cool, but I think this is the one, stat that I don't respect is turnover-worthy. And I've always hated it, and I'll continue to hate it. And, if you're one of those guys that just love to be all crazy about the stats, then,
Right.
you analytics, and you can
Right.
just, on yourself. But
Yeah, so let's flip that around, though. What if you have 0 turnover-worthy plays all season, and then you're
That
Kirk
doesn't
Cousins,
mean anything happens. Yeah, right.
No,
So
you're
here's the
Tyrod
problem
Taylor.
with that.
nobody
Here's the problem
cares.
with that.
and then
Exactly.
you lose your starting job?
Tell me what you're measuring. What are you measuring?
Exactly.
What are you trying to tell me? I don't get it.
Yeah. It's
Turnover
subjective.
worthy. So now
That's
are we going to
the
look at every interception and say that interception was not turnover worthy? Josh Allen had his first interception bounce off somebody into somebody else's hands because that guy can't catch. That's not a turnover worthy play, so it's not a turnover.
Yeah, you missed me
Move on to
on
the next
that.
one.
That's at capital ass.
It makes
Capital
no
ass. I
sense.
think we all agree on that.
Did
one, I
Josh
think.
Allen have 2 passes that were right in the Dolphins receiver or defender's hands that they should have caught? Yes, I was at the game and saw that and said that.
Yeah.
But does that mean anything in the long run? No. It means he did not get an interception.
Yeah. And
means
Anthony,
they
your
didn't catch it.
voice is going to run out eventually. Save some of
It is.
We got
But
lots
I'm
more of
telling
these.
you,
here.
that was bad. Ass.
All right, Anthony, this one's for you. This is from Smoke. We may know him. He's the Dolphins fan that called everybody pussies. Check out his Twitter. It's at Nicky Smokes, 2 S's at the end. And he posted a Ken Dorsey clip, which we've all seen and is hilarious. And he says, "Mom, can we get McDonald's?" "No, we have food at the house." Throws a huge fit. Is this a classy take or an ass take?
I'm gonna go with classy for this one, despite the person who's posting it and the circumstances of it. But I am all for every meme that is made out of this reaction. I love the reaction because it's real. It's real. He's pissed. He's angry. But the fact that it's hilarious and that we can get things like this out of it, I absolutely love it. Also, McDonald's is the best of the fast food. And if you tell my wife she can't have McDonald's, expect this type of reaction. So, I have to go with classy right here. I love it. I love all of these
understand this
things.
to the core. I'm oldest of 7 siblings, so I've had every time you drive by a McDonald's Playhouse,
Yep. It's like, oh,
they
can
pull
we
the
get
Ken
some?
Dorsey. Yes. Anyway, yeah, love to see the passion there, but also love the passion from the other coaches in the room.
Okay.
Somebody puts a hand over the camera to protect the man.
Okay, listen. This is an ass take. Get that out of here. Look at my face right now. It's an ass take, bro. This is the same guy that was talking shit to Bills fans as he's walking out of the tunnel. Like,
I was there.
You know what?
Yeah.
This guy, he looks like one of those, mafia bosses. The gabagoo. I'm walking here. This is what Miami fans look like to me, dude. Like, get the F out of here. You won your game. Enjoy your Super Bowl, but the Bills will be back. And you won fair and square, and I'm not taking anything from you, but like he's trying to get his 15 seconds of fame. Like, okay, bro. Like,
yeah. It's been a few days now of fame.
Give credit where credit is due. That was a good one.
Yeah,
that was a good one, though.
All right, back on Sterling here. The Jags win. They have a broken Charger.
I see.
Classy take or assy take?
Okay, this is
y'all
clever.
got a Charger?
This is
smart,
clever.
yeah.
This is clever. And I want to have to agree with them because, not only is that Charger just beat the hell up, but it looks homeless. And
It's from an iPhone 8.
It looks like a Grateful Dead. What do they call them? What do they call the Grateful Dead people?
Deadheads.
Deadheads. It looks like a deadhead because it's just rode hard and put up wet. But you know what? The Jags, you got your win, and I love it. And they're going to flex a little bit. So kudos to their media team for putting that together.
Funny.
Yeah.
That is 100% classy. Very on the nose. That is a direct hit. That was great.
Yes.
Clever. Very
huge
clever.
blowout win for a franchise that's been beat down over the years. I think we all agree, classy on that one. All right, who's up now? We got Anthony. In the crowd of the Commanders-Eagles game, there is an old Carson Wentz jersey now duct taped to say Hurts. The Hurts is over the H-U-N is over the W-E-N. Hurts with a Z. Classy or trashy?
To me, that right there is a slam freaking dunk. I have to go 100% classy with this. First of all, you say for anybody else when I see this, I would say ass, right? Like just buy the new jersey or whatever. But this is done because of who is playing in this game, right? You're playing against Carson Wentz on his new team. And what do? You're rubbing it in saying, hey, you used to be the guy, but now we got the guy.
He also duct taped the other one of the 11.
Yes.
Now just one.
And not only that, he's surrounded by Commanders fans.
Yes, I love it.
Perfect.
He's got balls of steel, man. That is classy.
That's so funny. Yeah.
But Jalen Hurts, if you're listening, can you get this man a jersey, please?
Yeah. Look it up. Those are high value right now. He might be the top jersey in the league. We'll have to check that.
Very, very nice.
All right, Sterling, back to you. Josh Allen hugging his son after the game.
Listen, look how small Tua's hands are.
Yeah.
That's what I want to look at. Hey, Josh Allen was just tired, bro. He was just tired. Look at him, man.
Yeah.
Tua looks like the guy off of what's the what is that show, man? That the prison show. The movie?
Break?
No, the football prison movie.
Longest Yard?
Longest Yard. He looks like the guy from
My
the
mind went
Yard.
elsewhere on that.
But Tua, Tua's credit, he's a phenomenal dude off the field. So, him and Josh Allen, they think alike. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Father and sons normally do. So it's good to see.
But the big thing I hate about this picture is when I saw it on ESPN and everything, they're like, oh, look, Tua's consoling him. Josh Allen is listening to what Tua's saying. He had to put his ear where Tua was talking. And Josh Allen is exhausted and pissed off. So he's saying, hey, man, congrats. And then he's listening to what Tua is telling him. Yes, there's a lot of respect there. This is a classy picture. But the image people were trying to portray of it, that is ass. That's just ass. These are just two guys who respect each other playing the game, talking to each other after the game. And it was still really loud in that stadium because they won. The Dolphin fans went nuts. And he's got to listen. He was putting his ear to where he's talking. If you watch the video of it, you'll see what I mean. He's not like head down trying to hug him or anything. It's just, they're talking.
All right, we're going to get real political on the next one. Who's up? Sterling, you're up?
Me? You gave him that one.
Okay, sorry. Anthony, you're up.
Oh, boy.
The fact that Jameis Winston stealing $32.72 worth of crab legs while in college gets 100 times more media coverage than Brett Favre embezzling $5 million from a welfare fund should tell you all you need to know. This is from Eaton Thomas, at Eaton Thomas 36, if you want to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
class or ass take?
That is 100% class. That's 100% on the nose. Absolutely what we need to hear right now, whether you like it or not. This is the story, right? This is what this is all about. What Brett Favre is accused of doing is he's going to go to jail for. He's going to get in huge trouble for this. It's going to have windfall of changes and things that come from this. Yeah, what Brett Favre did makes him a horrible human being. A horrible human being, regardless of football. Take football out of it. He was a football star. There's no doubt about what he was. But the fact that he stole money to do, I mean, you're talking about the lowest of the low. You're stealing money from people who are trying to put food on the table for their families.
Right. This is a social economic issue.
And now you're being the point there was racism, right? The point there was racism. A black man steals $30 worth of crab legs. We're going to talk about it forever, and he should be blackballed from the league because
I think we found
out a dirty rotten thief.
Crab legs too,
a
right?
rich man steals $1 billion. Nobody blinks an eye.
Like he went in there and his buddy who worked there gave him the leg. Hey, these are left over.
Exactly. But that's the point. It's racism. The story doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Brett Favre steals millions of dollars. It's not as important as black man quarterback who stole $30 worth.
Right. And really, the reason I wanted to bring this up is the lack of media coverage on this.
Yeah, it needs to be heard more. It needs to be heard more.
So. Well, they're not going to say it because a lot of MFers are doing this kind of stuff that Brett Favre is doing. Yeah. A lot of, and let's talk about it. Let's be honest. White corporate American guys don't show their taxes and a whole lot of other things because they, it's why our economy is in such a disarray that it's in because we've gotten too greedy as a country. And it comes down to race where welfare in Mississippi of all places,
the poorest state
of all places, you're taking that. Brett Favre, you've made millions of dollars in your career, but you need $5 more million. And he was warned. That this could be illegal and you could face consequences, but he did it anyway because you know what? They think they're untouchable.
Right.
And I'm glad he's getting found out.
Right. And he ended up paying like $1.1 million anyway, paying it back. Still owes some interest money is the last headline I saw. But yeah,
he
more
paid
to come on that.
$1.1 million of $5 million.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
The point is, you should have just paid for the volleyball court.
Give me $5 million.
Major
I'll give you
trouble.
$1.1 million back, and we'll call it good. Yeah,
Major
get out of here.
Trouble.
All right, I got two more. Sterling, you're up on this one. This is from Dove Kleiman at NFL_Dove Kleiman. Devin White on Jameis Winston. When Jameis left our team, everybody knows what he did last year. He threw 30 picks. We just knew he was going to do that. We just knew he was going to give us the ball. Winston threw 3 interceptions. This is at the Buccaneers last week. Class take or ass take?
I mean, he ain't lying. He ain't lying, man. You got to protect the ball. And, you could be one of the best quarterbacks in the world, but I'm not saying Jameis is, but if you have 30 picks, that's a telling sign. So yeah, he's right. He knows that Jameis is a very opportunistic quarterback for a defense, and he's telling the truth.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think he was condemning Jameis in a sense there, right? Yeah. He wasn't trying to say this guy's trash and this is why. He was saying, look, we're a good defense who's damn good at taking away the ball. We know this is a guy who's prone to giving up the ball, and that's what played to our strengths. We did it in this game. So, I mean, the take is on point. Again, if you overemphasize and try to look into it too much, that's ass. But the point itself is class. We knew this was a quarterback we could take advantage of. We did it. That's why we won the game.
Yep, fair. And last one here. This is at WPBF_Yanni. Once Tyreek Hill was informed the Dolphins are playing the Bengals Thursday, it's Thursday Night Football this week, he immediately started talking trash to Eli Apple. Hashtag Bengals, hashtag Dolphins. I owe you, boy.
Look at this dude in the back, though, with the glasses on his head. Like
his expression says it all.
Dude. It's just, man, Miami. It just makes me, it just disgusts me. But Tyreek, dude, I want you to go out there and toast Eli Apple. Because he played ball at Ohio State, I need you to roast this dude. Roast him. Roast him.
Why does everyone trash Eli?
This is ass,
This is a story every time.
This is an ass take. Why? Because it came out of Tyreek Hill's mouth, right? You're talking about the guy who was just trashing Josh Allen and our defense and all that and saying, oh, I'm going to toast you. And what did he get? 2 catches for 25 yards against 4 backups. Good luck, buddy.
Well,
So
Jalen
keep
Waddle's
talking trash.
from
Why
that,
don't you just play some damn football? Quit talking about whose opponent. Just talking generals. You don't need to point fingers.
One of the few guys that can back it up.
When you point the fingers, it comes right back at you. That shit, when you put the shit in the fan, it flies in your face.
Look, it felt very WWE. It's like he was doing too much.
Brother, I'm going to throw you over the top rope.
One thing I know about WWE, though, is if you can back it up, you can talk all the shit you want. So I say class take there. You know he's going to smoke Eli Apple. You just know it. The guy smokes everybody in the league.
We'll see.
Or if everyone just focuses on him, you give it to Jalen Waddle, he'll take 100 yards.
There you go.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, Sterling.
Good to have you, man.
Check him out on Buffalo Rumblings, YouTube, all the major podcast platforms. At Buffalo Rumblings. Show's called Intentional Grounding, hitting up every Buffalo Bills pregame. Check us out every Tuesday for Touchback Tuesday. We'll give you all the reactions like we just did. And also tune in Thursday as we get you ready for the week. Anthony will give you his 6 best bets in our NFL Pick 6 series. And so far, so good.
Yeah, looking good. And remember, toss your hat in the ring.